Many of us don't recognize just how powerful language is. Bias and exclusionary terms are a significant yet overlooked contributor to a lack of diversity in the workplace. The language that we use can actually deter candidates from applying for roles and perpetuate institutional inequality. Where we fit in is addressing inequity from a hiring perspective. UInclude is all about increasing workplace diversity and improving hiring efficacy by helping employers write inclusively. Our core product is a machine learning algorithm that identifies and eliminates biased language or recruitment material that is deterring for underrepresented groups.
The three of us met in December 2020 at University of Southern California's Data Analytics Bootcamp. And for our final project, we all were placed together in a group. It just so happened that we all were women of color and belonged to different communities. So we decided to research on a topic that was female focused. And to start, we conducted our own research on women in workforce. We found out that women workforce participation positively impacts global GDP. We also noticed that significant amount of women's productive potential still remains untapped and that women are still an underutilized labor source around the world.
I moved to the United States for college in 2014. When it comes to job hunting, I always feel like I am not as competitive as the native people. We came across a research paper about gender bias in recruitment material. We found that this is what deterring women from applying for a job they are qualified for. Research shows that men apply for positions if they met 60% of the qualifications, whereas women apply for the positions when they feel like they are 100% qualified for the role. At that moment, I was like, oh, I'm not alone. And we feel that it applies to us and we want to do something about it.
The research paper also provided a list of words that are associated with masculinity and associated with femininity. And so we, took that word list and said, why don't we create a product? Why don't we create an algorithm that helps employers scan and identify the presence of that gender-biased language in the recruitment material, and then ultimately eliminate that language and replace it with language that is more inclusive and inviting for people of all backgrounds, but particularly female candidates. And so that is exactly what we did.
We ended up being nominated for and winning a national pitch competition and also received features in publications like NASDAQ and Fortune.
The response that we received was just overwhelmingly positive. And that helped us recognize that there is a need and a desire for this product in the market.
There is a problem that we have the job title contains the masculine wording. For example, like data analyst. But analyst itself is a masculine word. Companies couldn't really change it because it's a terminology. It seems like we haven't thought of a way to get around it as of now, like gender-biased wording in job title, because it is defined in this way and it is widely used. I think we can come up with something, but will they adopt it? That's a question. Changing a few words in your job description is the lowest cost solution to attract more diverse talent, more qualified talents, while saving the company's time to hire and costs of recruitment. I have talked with one of our customers. She said that after she used our tool to help to optimize the job description, she saw 2 Latino candidates to apply for a role which she has never seen before. I hope with UInclude we will reach to a point where people of different ethnicity, people from different age group and sexual identities working together is a norm.
We originally started with just gender-biased language. When we decided to keep going with UInclude, it was really, really important for us to make sure that our product is addressing biases against a number of underrepresented groups, particularly the groups that are often left out of the conversation about diversity. People with disabilities, religious minorities. We aim to make sure that our product is bringing those groups into the conversation about diversity and inclusion.
I am a mom to a 7 years old, beautiful, creative, and curious daughter. And I wanted some sort of balance and was constantly struggling to figure out a way as to how can I pass on my rich Indian heritage and traditions onto my girl, and at the same time chase my dream of being an entrepreneur. So I have a strong desire to empower all women of color to embrace their worth, take pride in themselves, and to have the necessary required support and platform which can provide them with freedom to leave the environment and the workplace settings where respect is no longer valued.
I have been in a lot of settings where I'm often the only something, right? I'm either the only Black person or the only woman. Being the only often made for a pretty isolating experience and always meant that I had to be my own advocate. And so I am really driven by the prospect of being able to change that narrative for underrepresented individuals in the future and to make sure that they don't have to bear the burden of being the only. When I think about the impact that UInclude is making, it makes all of our efforts, all of our sweat and sometimes tears worth it, right? Because we know that what we are doing is impactful and what we're doing is powerful.